Eoin Sheahan joins us now, who kicked off a lot of this with his question at the South African press conference a couple of days ago. Didn't get to chat to you in the aftermath of that, Eoin. Before I get you to give us your little mini tour, what was the South African press in the immediate aftermath? Did they come up and chat to you about it and go, oh, it's interesting line of questioning? It's funny, we didn't think to ask that.
No, they didn't say that. There was a lot of New Zealand media naturally in the room, of course, as well, ahead of Saturday's huge game in their opener in the World Cup as well. So I didn't really get chatting to any of them. It was just myself and Gavin Comiskey really from the Irish media who were in the room. So it was just kind of us chatting to one another afterwards. And we kind of filed in the hotel together, and the rest of the journalists didn't really come up and engage with us at all. But to be fair, as I said the last day in our Skype insert from Disneyland, the South African press officer did allow an open floor of questions for a full 20 minutes. Like we're used to in Ireland getting 9-minute, 10-minute press conferences max. Full 20 minutes, he didn't interject once. I was allowed to ask follow-up questions. The only reason why I didn't go any further is that somebody else and asked about the scrum. So it was kind of free for all. It seemed like the journalists were happy enough for us to ask the questions. And, you know, obviously Matt Proudfoot wasn't entirely happy to answer the question fully because, as he said, he's a scrum coach and apparently scrum coaches can't have an opinion on that sort of thing. But no, not really. There wasn't much discussion around it afterwards. We just kind of went in, asked our questions and quietly left.
Okay, and no doubt there'll be plenty more asked across the course of this as well. You're also part of the next conversation. I'm going to show you this for anybody who's joining us a bit late. It's 9:04 this morning, by the way, here on OTB AM. Here is CJ Stander talking about the same issue when he was asked about it at the Ireland press conference in the last 24 hours.
CJ, there's been a lot of talk about doping in rugby, and especially back home in your native South Africa. I mean, is it something that would have been talked about a lot when you were younger? Is it something you would have seen in your career when you were in South Africa?
No, I think when I was younger I was out on the sticks, you know, so the only thing we actually knew there was farming and what else we were doing, you know, so I never really came across a lot. I think it's something probably if you want to go look for it and you want to do it, then probably it's open to get there, but I think I don't think it's a great thing to do at all. I think the sport is a great sport, and the better we can keep it clean is great. And I think in Ireland anyway, they look after all of those things and make sure everyone is on track, you know. So again, it's something I think needs to get out of the sport.
Did you notice it at Craven Week? Because it has been a real problem since they started to investigate Craven Week in the last 2 years.
Yeah, mate, I played Craven Week probably, 11 years ago, so I think most you get out there is the eggs you got in the morning for the protein, you know, so I think...
It wasn't in evidence back then?
No, nothing. I think they was quite on top of it, you know, and everyone was... I think I was tested when I played Craven Week probably out of the 3 games, I think 3 days, you know, so they're quite on top of it, you know, so I think it's well looked after, and I think probably the last few years they probably just had more testers out, and I don't really know what happened in the last few years in the Craven Week. Sorry about that.
Yeah, okay, so that's CJ Stander and Keith Earls at the press conference yesterday. And just to talk about Earls being there, that wasn't a sign. We're not supposed to read into that a sign that he's going to be playing this weekend. The various suggested teams this morning don't have him playing. They've got Conway at fullback, Larmour on the wing, so no room for Keith Earls this weekend in terms of injury.
I haven't seen the Irish press this morning, Ger, but it's interesting that they've named that all right, because yesterday in the press conference, Keith Earls was like, I'm hoping to play, and it's unusual that he would be put forward to speak if he wasn't going to play, unless there was some real risk that the team was going to leak, and they really don't want Scotland to know about this fact that Keith Earls is going to be out, and they put him forward for press so that the Scots are looking at the press conference and saying to themselves, well, that guy's obviously going to start again because he's up doing press in front of the Irish media. So it could be something of a double bluff from Joe Schmidt. He thinks about the media a bit, we understand. When it comes to those leaks, he's privately sometimes unhappy that they get out, and you would suspect that a team will leak again this week. So if it's in the papers back home, you'd imagine that that's come from a leak. And the information seems to be all right that Larmour and Conway will start and that Kearney and Earls are out. But if this is a double bluff from Schmidt, it does suggest that the back three is an area that perhaps Scotland can get at. I mean, it was a question that was asked in the Scotland press conference yesterday of Stuart Hogg. How does your game plan change if the back three is different? And there was a little wry smile. It was a traditional, boring press conference, but there was a kind of a sense that perhaps there will be an opportunity knocking for Scotland were the back three to change for Ireland tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Look, they've got a back three that's pretty good, and I'm sure they're going to back themselves against ours. What are the anxiety levels like at the moment? Here we are. Like famously, Peter O'Mahony told us a couple of 8 weeks ago that the pressure that he feels on match week leaves him feeling sick. That's a match week in a Six Nations game where it's a huge game, obviously, but these World Cup matches are the matches that the careers of everybody in this squad are going to be remembered for.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. This is, you look at someone like Johnny Sexton, you put it into microcosm, the last couple of World Cups won't have finished the way he wanted it. They didn't finish the way anybody wanted from an Irish perspective, but especially for Johnny Sexton, he really feels he never got to give a full account of himself when it came to those last two quarterfinals at all. So if you put his situation into microcosm, yeah, there's pressure on this Ireland team. There's huge pressure on this Ireland team. Like you look at their build-up over the last couple of days. Apparently they're flying in training. All the players have been at pains to say that. Andy Farrell, though, was at pains to say that actually if you're flying on a Wednesday, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go in good fettle into a Sunday game. But it seems that they're hopping off the walls and they're ready to go. The build-up has been quite interesting, and the kind of deployment of the teams has differed between Scotland and Ireland. The last week, obviously, has seen Ireland based out in Chiba, which is a few miles east of Tokyo, whereas Scotland were down in Nagasaki. They went all the way down to the south of the country to get more humid conditions, to get away from it all entirely, to have a completely different city experience, whereas Ireland felt like they were flirting with Tokyo but staying away at the same time. So it's interesting how they've gone for two different build-ups entirely. Scotland really only getting into things yesterday in this part of the country.
Can you feel that anxiety when the players are in the room, or is it all actually, I mean, at this stage, are they good at compartmentalising the levels of anxiety that they must surely be feeling ahead of this?
No, it's actually the complete opposite. There is little to no anxiety at all when it comes to any of the coaches, any of the players. Like when we had recent Kieran Ruddock up the last day, they were really relaxed. Andrew Porter was particularly relaxed the other day. CJ Stander was making jokes in his press conference yesterday, and he seemed really relaxed. There's no suggestion from the way they're speaking or the way they're talking to us in the day-to-day press duties that there's any anxiety within the camp whatsoever. But it will be interesting to see if Earls does not play this weekend, because you suspect that Joe Schmidt has already got his mind made up, and then it will be proof that it was a bit of a ploy to put him up for media duties yesterday if he isn't going to play this weekend. That would suggest that there is a little bit of anxiety in the camp, that they were trying to do something. The whole phrase about them being happy with their 31-man squad has been trundled out about 50 times already this week.
Okay, right. Methinks that lady does protest too much. So a couple of quick things to ask you about. We were promised a piece with a Japanese superfan. Owen, where is it?
I know, so was I, Ger, so was I. Apparently they speak a different language here, Ger. That's something I've discovered. I was put in contact with this man, Yoshi, who is the biggest Japanese fan there is. He kind of reminds me of the guy from Offaly. He goes to all the GAA matches. He's been to all the World Cup games involving Japan. I'm not sure to wear those clothes every day of the week, but a Japanese journalist put me in touch with him yesterday, and when I met him I knew immediately we had an issue because his English was not great. He did, however, teach me how to use chopsticks, even though I would say my chopstick method was pretty good already, Ger. It was kind of patronising. And second of all, he taught me how to drink sake, which is pretty nice, but only had a few cups while he was slugging away on the sake, like a true Japanese fan.
A few light ales, officer, is what you're saying to us at the moment. I'm not sure that it's true. Owen, how strong was the, and you pronounced it differently from how we would normally have, so go again.
Oh, how do you pronounce it? What is the, I said sake.
Okay, I would have said sake, but anyway, is it sake? Is that what he said? This is sake. Like, you're teaching us, you're educating us, remember that?
That is a good point. I definitely didn't hear him say anything other than sake, to be quite honest with you. If it's sake, I truly apologise. I think it was 20-something%. It's like, I'm not sure if you had it, sure. It tastes kind of like white wine with a little drop of vodka in it.
Right.
That's kind of what I go for.
Do you often mix vodka with your white wine, Owen?
When I was in college, 4 nights a week.
It was the only way to make that white wine palatable. Okay, right. Where are you?
I'm in Shibuya Crossing, Ger. This is the busiest intersection in the world, they tell me. It is the Times Square of Tokyo, but it is kind of Times Square times 100. We'll take a little tour around in a while, but I had 5 minutes there to kill, so I went in and got a bit of food. Are you interested in what Japanese people with a sweet tooth tend to devour?
Yeah.
Because I've got a bag full of goodies here right beside me. So we've got 3 different items that I want to try out today. I haven't had any kind of sweet food while I've been here. It's just been sake and sushi for me. First thing we want to try out is this little thing. with a creepy bear on the front, kind of scared the shit out of me, to be honest, when I picked it up in the shop. It looks like a little tub of Pringles or something like that. The flavour looks like a cup of tea.
Right.
Crisps that are flavoured like a cup of tea in Japan, not in Ireland. This is extraordinary. I'll open it up just to confirm that they are indeed Pringles or mini Pringles or whatever you want to call them. Yes, they are. Those sort of things there. Very, very nice.
Crisps.
I'm after spilling some on the ground. 2 seconds. Sorry, it's like littering is like an arrestable offence here. Right, that's that. We've got these bourbon creams. Bourbon creams. The child on the top of it looks like the last sight you'd see before you get horrifically murdered in a horror film. So again, popped off the shelf to me earlier on. I'm going to have a look inside to see what they look like. These sort of individually wrapped things. For a country that doesn't like glitter, they certainly individually wrap a lot of things. Their packaging isn't great.
Okay, this is...
I can't get those open, but we'll do that in a little while.
Bourbon creams, I mean... so I presume they're the same as ours, right? And are the crisps the same as ours? I mean, presumably ours is still the nicest crisp in the world.
It is not a cup of tea flavour, I can confirm. That is very much sour cream and onion.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure who stole what. Was it Pringles or was it the creepy bear who stole the flavour? I'll try and get to the bottom of that eventually. The final thing I got here is, again, double packaging. Absolutely disgraceful. The environment is dying over here in Tokyo. We're kind of like a little sushi box, but it's actually full of gummy bears, I presume.
And here's one I prepared earlier. That's a good line that you should learn for the next one of these.
Yeah, I probably should, but to be honest with you, this is more fun because I don't even know what's coming. And what you've got is a load of pouches of powder. Well, this is disappointing. There isn't even gummy bear sweets in there, which is what I was hoping for. That was an absolute disaster. That's all you get.
Right,
Imagine
very good.
giving that to your child after a good day at school. That's all you got. So that's that for the sweets. We're going to go for a quick tour around if you want to see a bit of this place.
Yeah, go on quick.
If you want to see a bit of this... Grant, 2 seconds. I'm going to turn this camera around and we're going to have a look at some of the things that we can see here. So we can start to see a bit of the rugby starting to make its way into Tokyo at this point. We can see a couple of the All Blacks here and the All Black team as well at the train station. This is the main intersection here in front of me. It's kind of like that scene in 300 when the two armies run at each other when the lights go green. And the light is currently green at this point. You've got the Springboks up there to our right hand side for an ad for ASICS. And really, you can start to see that this city is starting to embrace the Rugby World Cup. You're starting to see more evidence that the Rugby World Cup is taking place here. Very Times Square. That Starbucks in front of us is, by all accounts, the busiest Starbucks in the history of mankind. That's what it says on Wikipedia. Got just tons of lights everywhere, and that is Shibuya Crossing, Ger.
Right, there you go, Owen. Uncle Travelling Matt, another postcard all the way from Japan. Thanks very much. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's class, Ger. In fairness, it's an amazing country to be there. It's like Tokyo is, I would imagine, and we'll get kind of a greater sense of this as the tournament goes on. Kind of mini country of itself, that the country will be a far different place. People will be very different. Tokyo is just ginormous. They've got lost here about 5 times. They're like very badly lost about 5 times here. The language barrier can be a bit of an issue. But the people here are so lovely, even if they can't communicate with me in English.
That's good. I'm glad someone's looking after you, Owen, and try not to get lost again. Thanks a million. We'll talk to you again real soon. It's our man in Japan, Eoin Sheahan at Shibuya Crossing, and he managed to cross the road safely there. So I hope his mum and dad are proud.